Hey, so I thought I'd do a little video about my first year of university. I guess like kind of a debrief and any advice I have and just a general chit chat about it. Because I know when I went to university, I was really nervous. I didn't really know what to expect, so this might help some people, but also it's just I used to love watching uni videos, so yeah. I have some notes here so I can kind of get the main points that I feel like are most important or people might want to hear most but also were like valid in my experience. So first off, I'm Eve. I've just finished my first year at university in Edinburgh. I'm at the University of Edinburgh doing my undergraduate MA in theology. For anyone who doesn't know what theology is, it's the study of God and religion. And it isn't just one religion, you can specialise in various religions. So yeah, I know lots of people don't really know what it is, so thought I'd just explain. That bit of hair is going to annoy me. We're going to ignore it. Anyway, yeah. Secondly, I want to say everyone's experience at university will be different from various universities, various courses to the same university and various departments in it. Like my experience is very different to my friends who are doing physics and chemistry or classics or English literature. It's going to vary a lot within even a university. So yeah, before I get in, get comfy, grab a tea if you want. So I guess the first main thing is moving to university. That's obviously like a big day if you're moving out of your home. I was terrified on that day. We had 2 cars packed up with everything. Me and my mum went first. My dad and brother came quite a bit later. So we went and literally I arrived to my accommodation and then we had to go to a different accommodation to get my keys and stuff. So we're like trying to figure out where the office was and all that, and then it was fine. We walked back up and I was like, okay, right, going into my accommodation, mentally preparing myself. There was various people on stairs. It wasn't that busy when I first arrived. Went in my flat, the lights were off and it was quiet, and I was like, oh, I think you're the first one. But I was like terrified that someone was in the flat, like shh, like I don't want to disturb or whatever. Nothing. No one was walking about, no sounds, nothing. So went in my room. I only literally 5 months into university we discovered one of my flatmates was in her room, but bless her, she was too scared to come out of her room and say hi. And her parents had gone back to get the rest of her stuff, so she was literally just waiting in her room till her parents came back. So yeah, I was there first and I was there for a while, and then one of my other flatmates showed up with her dad, so we're talking to them for a bit. I was in a flat, there was 5 of us, and it was a shared bathroom and shared kitchen. It was one of the cheaper accommodations because it wasn't ensuite, but also Edinburgh's expensive, so like cheaper for Edinburgh is probably like a normal price for other unis. And also I know their prices are going up this year. So like my accommodation last year, I think it's gone up by like £1,000. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I also generally just like late off track, but I don't think that you need to pay for the top accommodation. Cheaper ones are still great. Like I had a great experience. I feel like people are just more nice, and also like certain accommodations have reputations, so like learn a bit about your university to know that type of thing, because I know some international students went to ones like Pollock Halls in Edinburgh, which are just like they aren't like they're the nicest accommodation you can get. They're catered and all of that, but there is a reputation that goes along with them because they're quite expensive. I think one of the accommodations in that is like up to like 10 grand a year. So like, you know, there's certain stigmas that go with it. But equally, if that's what you want to spend that like. But yeah, I was in self-catered, which I wanted to be. I love cooking meals, and also it just practically would have worked better for me, because also with catered it's like you can eat between these certain times. It's like 2 meals a day. So obviously if you had a society or your lectures were at different times or tutorials or like jobs and stuff, like the catered accommodation, they can't always fit around what your actual life is going to be like. So self-cater is quite good because you can eat whenever you need to eat and like prep meals and whatnot. So yeah, personally that works better for me, but find whatever works best for you and be realistic in what is going to be helpful for you, especially in first year, because there's so many big transitions that you're going through. Yeah, anyway, moving. I wasn't homesick the first few nights. It was a few nights in that I got a bit homesick, but I hadn't fully set up my room yet. And as soon as my room was how I wanted it to be, I was fine, because I took lots of like really homely items and like sentimental things, which meant my room felt like my room, which I recommend. But also because at home, me and my brother swapped rooms, but I didn't actually really have a room, because before we actually redid the rooms, my brother decided to move into my room, and it still like had all my furniture and like all like his bunk bed that he's kind of too big for and I'm definitely too big for was in his room, so I couldn't sleep in it. So if I'd come home, I'd be sleeping on the sofa bed, which was fine that I chose to do that. So yeah, my room at uni did feel like my room because it was an actual bedroom. But also, one of my friends from home, she also moved to Edinburgh, and her accommodation was literally 8 minutes up the road. So we met up after my family left and like went about for a wee bit. We were just chatting about how everything was going. Before I went to meet up with my friend, I spoke to my flatmates and I was saying how I had a friend who were thinking about getting takeaway that night and asked if they wanted to join in. And in my flat, we actually all ended up being from Scotland. So none of us were actually that far from home. I think the furthest was like 2 and a bit hours. That was it. It wasn't even like the north of Scotland. It was literally like the borders in Glasgow. That was between the borders in Glasgow. That was the length of distance, of which one person lived in Edinburgh, one lived on the outskirts, and I lived like an hour 40 minutes to like an hour drive from Edinburgh. So it was like we were all pretty close to home. But we all kind of knew people who had also come to uni in Edinburgh, or were like at one of the other unis in Edinburgh, or yeah, had friends who were still in Edinburgh and hadn't gone to uni yet. So we all invited friends over that night and got Domino's, which was really lovely, and we're all just chatting, getting to know each other a bit, and like made some good friends that night. Like one of the girls who was there that night turned out to be my friend's, like was in the flat next door to my friend. So that was nice, and like I'm now sharing a flat with her this year and my friend. So it worked well. So I recommend doing stuff like that, and it's like a good icebreaker, and it means you aren't in your room and feeling like overthinking things or stress. Maybe that would just be me who had done that, but it was like a good icebreaker and like made us comfortable and was a good way to spend the first night. We were all up quite late, but yeah, that's kind of what the first week's for. So yeah, Freshers Week. Freshers Week is just a welcome week. There's various introductions and welcome events and freebie fairs and all of that, but it's also a big week for like clubs to basically give students discounts. Me and a lot of my friends were still 17 when we went to uni because we're Scottish and you can go to uni when you're 16 or 17 and then 18. But yeah, we hadn't actually turned 18 yet, so we couldn't really go clubbing, which I didn't mind. And most 3 out of 5 of us in my flat were all 17, and one of them didn't really like clubbing. So it was nice. The first week we kind of just had late nights and we're chatting and whatnot, or I met with friends and like we're just chatting and talking through everything. But yeah, it was quite a nice week. Like I had various welcome things. I met with my personal tutor, chose my courses. Most people do that before they go to uni, but with my department it's when you're at uni because things might change, but also it was just a bit easier to kind of talk through because also for my course, it's different at most other universities. I don't have any compulsory classes, so it's all what I want to do. So I kind of make my own degree out of my degree. So like me and someone else are doing the exact same degree, but what we study could be completely different, which is quite nice. So yeah, I had that in the first week, but there is various things and like obviously uni traditions, like at Edinburgh you go up Arthur's Seat but you have to go up an odd number of times, so you can go up once but you can't go up twice unless you go up for a third time, stuff like that. So me and my friend did go up Arthur's Seat, and we went to like various different events that were on, and just were like buying anything that we forgot to get. So yeah, then starting my course, like I said, my course, it's no compulsory classes, so I get to like adapt it to what I'm interested in, which is really lovely. I will say it is common, and I definitely find this, where you do kind of, I found that I doubted myself a wee bit, like, oh, am I actually good enough for this course? Because you've gone from being at school where you're likely one of the top students in your year, to then going to a university where, because you're one of the top students, that university wanted you, but now you're in a classroom full of all of the top students from various schools. And you will have all had different backgrounds and different levels of education. So like people were making points, and I was like, I didn't think of that. But then I had to remember, but I had points that they didn't think of. So like it is like a weird thing to adjust to, and almost like literally everyone I spoke to felt the same. Like, well, we're like, are we good enough for this? Like, why do we not have those points? And but I think it is important to remember you will have points that they don't have, but also you can learn from the points that they have, and that will help you. But it's definitely weird adjusting to the culture at university. It's very different to school, but I feel like you can thrive a lot better at it. So yeah. With that being said, I did study hard, and I came out with really good grades for first semester and second semester. I'll talk a bit more about second semester, because second semester was an interesting one for me. So yeah, and in terms of support, like I discovered this more in second semester because of the situation that happened that I'll go into. For me, the School of Divinity is very, very good at support. You can get in touch with your personal tutor, and they will support you well and give you advice. And like after first semester, I met with my personal tutor. We looked at all my grades, looked at what it was that I was maybe lacking in, like where I dropped marks. Because my course is mostly essays, so it was like, okay, right, I need to work on my citations. That was one of the main things. But so my essays were so small, like it was like I didn't have enough citations for one of them, so then I added more citations for the other, but then there wasn't enough arguments because there wasn't enough word count. So yeah, it's like trying to balance things out. But we also had a good chat about what it was that I needed to do to progress, but she was like, you don't really need to progress, because I was sitting at mostly I think 60s last semester. One was a bit lower, but it was a course out with School of Divinity, and I didn't really enjoy it. But yeah, like, so we spoke about what could it be that I could do to try and bump up my grades a wee bit more to get just over the 70, or yeah. But also the thing is that I also found weird was, at university the grading is different. So 40 is a pass. So really all you need is a 40. 50, that's good. 60, that's really, really good. And then 70 up is excellent. To get above 70, you are like insane. Especially for certain courses, like they really emphasize like 70 is almost impossible to get. So aim for 60, and if you get 50, that is still really good. Also, if you pass, still good, but you want to progress more than that. So yeah, and then in terms of exams, for me, like I said, it's mostly essays. I did have some, first semester I had an online exam, which was fine. I was really nervous about it because I was like, what if the internet crashes or da da da. But it was completely fine. It was literally just timed essays. Second semester, again, it was mostly essays, and like also you'll have like sometimes blog posts and stuff like that, or presentations. So I had that this semester. And then I had an in-person exam, which I was terrified for because it was in McEwan Hall, which if you're at Edinburgh, you know, like McEwan Hall, most people only ever go into that hall when they start university, because that's where the introduction is, and when you graduate. So it was quite intimidating. It's a stunning building, but I was like, that's terrifying. But it was completely fine. And I did really good in the exam, which I'm happy about because I was not expecting that. So yeah, I definitely learned, for me, having a like schedule and like a routine for studying was really, really beneficial. Me and my friends, like, we created a kind of routine. Lots of them were like, right, I'm getting up at this time, we'll meet at this time, we'll go to the library between this time and this time, get lunch, go back at this time and this time. I found I kept on getting ill every time I went to the library, so I stopped doing that. But I would get up roughly the same times then and study like in blocks, and then we'd like maybe meet up for a walk and then meet up at someone's flat and all study together and stuff like that. So do create a routine, but also create a routine with your friends, because that also helps. Like if you're stressed out, they can help you, but also if you're doing similar courses, or like my friend who does chemistry, I do not understand chemistry at all, but she'd speak to me about chemistry because we'd meet up throughout the semester and study together. She'd speak to me about chemistry because it helped her learn, and then I tell her about my course. She found it was probably easy for her to learn about my course because it's like knowledge based, I guess, whereas chemistry is very, if you get me. But yeah, so like we speak to each other, and whilst we might not have understood, it would help us because we were almost teaching each other. But also if I was like, Abigail, that makes no sense, can you explain that? She'd be able to go in more detail, and then it would also help her because then she remembered the theory behind it, which would have been the same with me. So I recommend stuff like that, like having a day where it's like, right, we're going to go to this cafe, or we're going to go to this part of the uni and just study together. That is also really beneficial. So yeah, have routines for studying because it helps you in the long run. But yeah, study throughout the semester because then it's kind of ingrained in your brain already, and then you're just refreshing and adding to it for your exam. I'll talk about second semester as its own subcategory. For me, second semester I was like, great, it's going to be better, like I know what I'm doing now. Didn't get off to the best start. Basically came home over Christmas, and on Hogmanay, so New Year's Eve, I got ill, called in sick to work, didn't think much of it, felt a bit better in the evening, celebrated New Year's. Next day, went to church, made it to church and felt really, really ill. My dad had to bring me home and I was literally in bed the whole day. And from there on, I was ill for 3 months. So I returned to uni late, got in touch with my personal tutor, explained the situation. I had to go back to Edinburgh because that's where I'd changed my doctors to. And I was literally next to my accommodation. So had doctor's appointments, had various tests done, went on for 3 months. We didn't really know what was wrong. So yeah, the second semester for me was literally non-existent almost, because I physically was not able to get to most of my lectures. I then was able to manage to go to 1 lecture a day. So I had one course that I did 10 lectures, but even then it was quite a big thing. Like it was like, right, I have a lecture here, so I'm gonna sleep till this time, and then I'll do this to help me get ready, and then I'll go to it, and then I'll need to do this to like recover from it. So it was a lot more work for me in second semester. The university were really good at supporting me. I will say that, like, they were still emailing me at the start of summer to make sure I was okay. And my tutors were really good in terms of, like, if I missed a tutorial, I was able to email them and they were really understanding and helped me, like, through it. So yeah, but obviously that meant in terms of my grade goals, I was like, I just want to pass because this semester has been awful. My courses were amazing, but like I wasn't actually able to really be there. However, as things like got better, it's fine. And like, so when I first arrived back to uni, I barely left my room, but it kind of got better and I was able to do more, and I was given medication to help me manage it. I'm fine now. Like, there's still moments where I can feel it, but I'm basically better. So yeah, but second semester, me and my friends really tried to like make sure we were going out and doing things and like meeting up. So me and my friend, we try lots of different cafes, and then every Sunday, we'd done this first semester, so we also did second semester, we made a roast together, which we'll now be doing a flat roast, which will be nice. Yeah, so like I think we just really tried to prioritise making plans because we were aware this semester was like, first year was almost over. And that's the thing, like first year went by so fast. University is going to go by so fast. So make the most of it because it is ridiculously fast how short it feels. And then moving out, yeah, it was kind of emotional, but I was quite glad because me and my flatmates did get on really well, but there's some stuff going on in the flat which made it kind of hard. I'm not going to talk about it because it's not my place to talk about. But yeah, second semester I actually didn't spend that much time with my flatmates, slightly on purpose, but also because I needed my own space. So, like, I'd go around to my friend's flat more, and meet up with people more, and just like go, oh, I'm gonna do this in my room. Like, I think from university I've realised I know my boundaries quite well, so I was able to put them in place and like be like, no, I need my own time, I'm gonna go and do this now. Like, and that is things that I've had to learn over time, because in the past I have anxiety and had a really, really, really bad period of it, so I had to get counselling. So I kind of learned lots of like things to notice in myself through that. So to prevent my anxiety getting bad, I have things that I do just to like help manage it. So that also I was able to like use in the situation I was in. I have some stuff here. Oh yeah, I realise I do get really in my head sometimes. Like, I'll overthink everything. Part of that is anxiety. But yeah, I literally be like, this is the worst thing ever, or be like, this person must really, really hate me, or I'm not good enough, and like overthink it all when I was actually fine. Like, I look at my grades now, I'm like, what was I thinking? I was fine. I thought I completely flunked second year, but I didn't. So that was good. And it is actually a lot easier at university to find your type of people than it is at school. And I think that was really lovely, because I was kind of scared. I was like, oh, what if it's literally like, you know, all the popular people at school that you're like, oh no. But it wasn't. This bit of hair's, oh. Anyway, so yeah, it was nice because you were able to find your people easily, and like, you didn't have to go out if you didn't want to. There wasn't a lot of pressure I found around it. I'd sometimes go out with my friends, but I don't really drink, so I might have had one drink that night, or I'd often do it sober because I'd been ill. I was on medication. Wasn't allowed to drink anything for 3 months. So yeah. I've already said about support. But yeah, I think the main things for university that I would say is enjoy it. It goes by really fast. Don't stress too much about it, and if you need help, ask for it, because the university will give you some kind of help, or go to your doctors if you're really struggling, because they obviously can also give you help. But everyone else is in the same position. I thought that no one else was feeling the way I was. Spoke to some people, they felt the exact same. And whilst everyone's experience is different, almost everyone has the same kind of anxieties and worries going into it, and throughout it. So don't feel like you're alone, because you definitely aren't. There are definitely other people at university experiencing the exact same thing as you, even if it doesn't seem like they do. Because I also know some people would have looked at me and didn't think I was struggling in the way that I was at certain points, but I definitely was. So people will put on a front, but just know deep down they will be having doubts, or they'll be stressing about various things. But whilst putting your studies first, also just enjoy it, make plans with friends. Even, like I say, like, meet up with a friend, go get a coffee and study. Like, you're still having that social life, but also putting university with it. And that was quite a nice thing, because me and my friend did have a routine. It was like every Wednesday we'd go get a coffee together. I think it was a Wednesday. We had Starbucks on a Monday. We spent too much money, but we had Starbucks on a Monday. We had a Costa on a Wednesday. I think that was it. And then we'd have our roast on a Sunday, and sometimes we also meet up on a Friday. So like, we had different points in the week. Like, we'd see each other often. Now we're living together, so we're gonna have to see each other every day. Joking. I'm really happy about that. But plus we can save money on coffees because we can make it in the flat. But yeah, and then second semester, she was dealing with a lot and I was ill, so we didn't have the same routine, but like every Sunday we'd go to a cafe, get our weekly food shop together and then have a roast, and we'd often meet up during the week as well, and sometimes we'd go out together on Saturday night and stuff. So make a routine with your friends so you can make sure that you prioritise seeing them, whether it's like you go into your friend's flat for a meal and like every Thursday night that is your night together, or you go to a cafe every week, or you meet up for like an hour during the day on Tuesday to study together, or like just have a catch up on a study break. Like create those routines, and then you know that's your time with that friend, and that then you also put your studying around that. If you aren't meeting up to study, you're like, okay, I have this amount to do, but I also have this, like meeting up with, I don't know, Jenna during this period, so like I can't study then, so I'll study on these times. Like then you fit everything a bit better around it. But yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'll probably do other videos about university at various points. Yeah, I hope you enjoy.